Hello all, this is Corinne with Soulshift Channeling, and I am here for another Wednesday collective reading and pick a pile mini readings. I connect with the Akashic Records and channel soul guidance. What we're doing today is I'm connecting with a more communal space to bring information to you guys. This is something that I love to do. I love pick a piles, especially as you're seeking guidance or developing your connection with your intuition. I think it's so fun to be exercising your attunement throughout the day. I do it with routes I'm taking to work, or I don't know, just all sorts of little choices. I think it's such a good way to develop your internal compass. And this is a way to give everyone a taste of the work that I do individually, which is connecting with your specific Akashic record, divine guidance from your higher self, your soul self, to help you get more clear and embodied in your life. My goal is to always empower you to own your own connection with the divine and to clarify that, make it even more clear and strong, and really help you ground and embody that connection so you can move forward confidently. My favorite thing about working with the Akashic Records is that I just get to jump into whatever situation and experience that you are having, and information comes through without having to set up the whole backstory. So anyway, that's about the work that I do. What we're going to do is I'll give you a little bit of an update on things that I am noticing just as a person in the world outside of channeled content. And then we'll jump into opening the connection, a collective reading, and then a way to pick multiple, I think 3 or 4, we'll see this week, mini readings that you can choose with emojis or numbers and use your intuition. And then there'll be a closing collective message at the end. So do tune into those. Skip below to whatever you want to be, wherever you want to be. And yeah, I appreciate your presence here. So something that I've been noticing this week is it's just feeling like chains are coming off, like things that have bound us, or I'll talk about this for me specifically because you could be experiencing this or you could not, who knows. But I've noticed a lot of like handcuffs that used to be on me are no longer there anymore, or they're coming off. It's slowly like taking off the shackles, taking off the things that have bound us, the royal us, and really just shedding layers that don't feel right, that don't belong. This kind of like molting that, like when insects molt, their shells are kind of like opaque, like you can see through it, but they're not the most clear. And I love this idea because it's like, I feel like I'm shedding these layers that previously I would never have noticed. They've been part of my skin. They've been part of what has protected me. They've moved with my body well. But as I shed them, I see that it's a layer that I've outgrown, that it's something that has kept me small, that now that I take it off, it looks like not very translucent. And it's these limiting beliefs that I can see impacted me in a way that kept me less resilient. So I'm thrilled about this. It's slow going. A lot of my pace has been being present with myself, really listening to what I need, not necessarily overindulge, but a lot of my practice is less about hardcore restriction and more about giving indulgence in moderation, giving myself. I think a lot of my wounded patterning in the past has been over restriction or punishment by removal. So a lot of my medicine is is giving indulgence and then seeing how I feel throughout it, you know, and being like, okay, does that feel good or does that not feel good? Where do I need more balance? And I find that when I give myself what my body is craving or what my mind is craving, there's less restriction. There's less fight or push and pull on what I want and what I need, and I can really tune in more clearly and be like, well, you know what, I didn't need, like, it didn't, that didn't satisfy that way, that TV show or that cookie or something, or, you know, that meal didn't hit the way that I really thought it was going to. And so it's been a helpful part of my evolution and growth in the past week. So let me know where you guys are at. What is going on outside of these reads for you? It's just, I think I want to build a connection and community here that can go deep and be present with ourselves, because I think there needs to be more space like that. I know that I think that we're rebuilding actually the third spaces in our communities where we can show up with each other and exist and workshop self and have a good time, because all three of those things are possible. We don't always have to be just workshopping ourselves endlessly. It doesn't have to be hard, and it gets to be in a loving, supportive, communal space. And I know if you are like me, this kind of connection and this kind of self-exploration is really important, and not everyone has capacity or wants to meet you in these spaces. And I want to change that. I want to create space for conversations like this to happen. So welcome. I'm so glad that you're here, and let's jump into it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say this blessing that'll help me connect, and we'll start bringing through information. Okay. My center with your center, our center with all centers, our center as the one center. I enter the realm of masters, teachers, and loved ones of the collective and match our hearts and minds with theirs. Let us find, through joy and wisdom, the ability to open the universe and ourselves to greater possibility and deeper love. Eternal Source, fill our hearts with clarity and sacred power and show us the collective's place of balance. Hear us now as we become one with the whole. When we are complete, release us in love and admiration, keeping our energy raised. The records are open. Okay, I feel like there is often opening imagery in these collective reads, which I love that there are themes coming up, of many strings, and it does feel kind of like many threads, many individual souls coming together, which, so good. But I'm seeing now that I'm seeing them all kind of like twist together. And you know how it feels like a ship rope is made, like one that holds one of those massive ships to shore. And it's almost like a twisty, but there are so many individual threads that kind of compose each of these 2 or 3 twisted ropes. But it feels like that. And then I'm seeing Miss Phoebe, I'm seeing it kind of coil up, and I'm seeing that this rope is used almost in like a life vest capacity, or like how one would toss out a life ring. It feels like a life ring for larger, it feels like I hear like corporations, groups, entities, like larger, reining it in. I hear it feels like larger societal standards that are no longer serving the collective. Like this is what this space is for, to help rein in collective repatterning, unpatterning and repatterning systems that can serve us more effectively. And that now I'm seeing like kind of harnessing, like a rope can kind of harness almost like reins on a horse, to kind of get back in charge of the large corporations that drive our lives. You know, it is our power that gives them power, and it is their power that shapes our world. So it's important and valuable to regain control, to reclaim our place in the driver's seat. And this I'm seeing like scaling up and scaling down, like, yes, collectively with corporations, but also putting ourselves back in the driver's seat of our own experience, of our own life, recognizing that we are no longer on the coach with runaway horses, you know? I mean, we may have been, we might be again, but the whole point of the story is to regain control, to claim our willpower and autonomy, and to redirect as we please and as we choose. It is easy to feel powerless in this life. It is easy to feel small, and it is easy to feel insignificant, and like nothing you can do is going to change the outcome. But that is so far from the truth. And the beginning frontier is in our mindset, is in our brain spaces. That's kind of the I'm hearing like the last frontier, the first frontier and the last frontier, right? It's the first place that we need to start, but it's the last place that we really need to conquer and accomplish, because we have achieved such skillful mastery of the three-dimensional plane. It's really the unseen that is challenging us now. And the first step to interacting in that space is unbuilding and rebuilding what is possible in our minds and in our, which will unlock our, I'm hearing biological psyches, like the possibility and the persona of our energetic forms. There's a lot more technology and ability and capacity that's available to us. It's just, I hear under lock and key until we make the lock and the key. Kind of like that concept of like, we limit ourselves with our own self-belief in so many different ways, in ordinary ways and in extraordinary ways. And the more we can shift things in the ordinary, the more, oh, maybe it's vice versa. The more we shift things in the extraordinary, the more we can shift things in the ordinary. Okay, guys, thanks for coming. Let's go ahead and tune in. I hope you can hear Phoebe walking around. She's such a, sweet doggo girl. All right, I think we're going to have 3 readings today. Let's tune into those 3 readings. 1, 2, and 3. All right, I think we're going to have flower emojis. 1 is a marigold. I'm feeling rushing water for this one, sending things downstream. Kind of like, have you ever made those little paper boats and put them in the river? Or you know the concept. Little paper boats and put them in a river, and they just like, and sending them down the way. Sending your wishes, dreams, hopes, and desires down the stream. It's kind of like a, not a last ditch effort, but the way that you send messages back in the day when you're more landlocked or gridlocked, when you're kind of tied to your space and needing to connect with resources outside of you, you just kind of send something down the river. So that's marigold, flowing water, fleshing things out, group 1. 2 feels like a poppy or a red flower. It might be the hibiscus emoji, I'm not sure, but it feels like a poppy here. And this feels like a lot of, you could be like pins and needles, lots of tiny decisions, death by 1,000 cuts, kind of the princess and the pea, but like 1,000 different peas, pearl energy, like something's really bothering you and it needs to just be covered and covered and covered and covered. You could feel really, how do we say, just like cellophane, like wrapped over and over, straight jacket, almost feeling very limited and stressed out at this point in time. 3 is a blue flower, a bluebell. I'm not sure what emoji this is going to be. A flower, maybe a dolphin. This feels like very third eye, very violet, very flowers have sometimes colors that are beyond the visible spectrum. And so a flower that looks kind of plain to our human eyes, to bees and butterflies who can see beyond, like I think more on the ultraviolet side of the visible light spectrum versus like the lower wavelength side, the infrared. The higher frequencies, there can be like patterns and like these beautiful, I'll put a link down, so check it out if you want to, but flowers that look plain to us can have additional information or additional patterning that is visible to the right audience. And so you might be feeling invisible, or like your true colors aren't being seen or recognized. And then I'm seeing someone in a dress kind of like just swirling around that kind of concept of a child entertaining themselves, or like, I don't know if you ever put a fun dress on and just get lost in the spin. You spin for yourself, not for other people. And so this kind of like really delving into self experience. So those are our 3 piles. Let me know if you guys like this extra info to kind of check into the pile, or if you prefer to just have the emojis, if you prefer to just have the numbers. I guess you can always not listen to the deeper dives, but let me know what you think. All right, so group 1, marigold flower, orange yellow flower. Group 2, a poppy, a red flower. Group 3, a blue flower, a bluebell, delphinium, something like a blue, violet, purple flower. Okay, my loves, thank you for being here. And let's go ahead and jump into group 1. All right, group 1. I'm hearing a toilet flush, and it's just like, you know, in the movies, I hope you guys have never had this experience, but you know, in the movies when like the cops are coming and people are trying to like flush all the drugs down the toilet. I just feel this concept for you of like flushing and flushing and flushing and flushing. And it's just like, it's not necessarily like you're in trouble or someone's coming, but I do feel like there's this urgency to just like get this shit out the door, get it gone. Like you're done. And part of it is not entirely by choice. Like I do think that that's where the police coming, it's like, you know it's a risk. You know it's not gonna bring you, I don't know if you do know that actually, whatever practices, beliefs, whatever you're dealing with now that's represented by the drugs, I do feel like it does have kind of an addictive quality. I do feel like there is this concept or belief that I can handle it. Like it's fine. Like I'm above the addiction, or I'm beyond the grips, and I can use this to get me where I want to go. I can use this to, how do we say this? I do feel like you had a plan. I feel like you had a plan, and I don't think it was a bad plan. I just think it hasn't panned out the way you thought it would, and that's okay. And I feel like there is a little bit of a sense of like begrudgingly discarding your investment, part of your investment. I'm proud of you. I am proud of you. And the pride I feel is in you making the choice to invest in a future that is cleaner, clearer, and more committed to your godly experience and expression, to your empowered divinity. It feels like you have had to, and not that all drugs are like this, right? That's a sticky, dicey. I mean, that's a whole different thing, right? But choosing a pathway that doesn't force you to stay underground, and doesn't, like, just because things are underground does not mean that they are bad, right? Just because you can't do things out in the open doesn't mean that they're detrimental. A lot of detrimental things happen underground, because if they were happening out in the open, they'd be called out and they'd be called up, right? Some things are forced underground because they're not widely accepted yet, because there isn't the space for them, because there is, and if you read into the beginning collective message, because there is systematic oppression that is limiting the sanctity of a drug to be experienced, right? There's a lot of systemic altercation, things have been altered, and it brings altercations, it brings conflict, it brings friction, because it's not right. And we want to get right, and it's difficult to get right when you are staying underground, when you have to live in the shadows, even if you're shepherding or carrying something that can be a life-saving drug, that can be empowering, that is a medicine of sorts. Everything is a medicine, right? When we get dysfunction is when we use medicine outside of moderation, when we use restriction, or when we don't have the additional support and resources, when we don't have the collective buy-in to our liberation, and we're numbing out, and we're ignoring, and we're separating ourselves from our God holy truth. All right, I feel like this kind of spattered and sprawled everywhere. So back to the point of stepping into the light. And I feel like you haven't necessarily stepped out from the shadows yet, but I do recognize that the choices that you're making are ones that are going to leave behind that which ties you to shadow work. Shadows can live in the light, and in fact, they are more clearly defined in the light. Shadows are are easier to deal with, like shadow work, shadow realms, like your internal shadow, Jungian shadow. It's important parts of ourselves to deal with, and it's so much easier to see the definition of a shadow when you have a bright light source, right? Whereas if you're underground and there's not really clear light, the shadows, like, they're layered, they're not very well defined. You can't really see them very clearly. Whereas if you come into the light and it's a bright sunny day, you see your shadow very clearly. You can see one outline when there is one sun, there's one source. And when you step into the God light, it's a lot easier to deal with the challenges, the things that bind you. Yeah, it can look a lot more stark in comparison. There's perhaps less nuance to it, but it is a more effective way to move through the world, and it is helpful to bring any sort of medicine or thing that we carry out into the light, so that can be called clearly too, so we can see clearly what the shadow aspect is and how to work with it. All right, I hope it's tracking for you guys. Let me know how it feels. And also just know, I think now you have some information as to what stepping into the light is going to be like. Like, I almost feel like some vampiric like I'm afraid I'm going to burn up in the sun energy. And because you have an idea of what stepping into the light looks like, I don't think it's going to be quite as bad. All right. Next aspect. All right. This definitely came in last week. So let me know if this was if you're here week to week to week, let me know if this is a through thread for you. But I'm hearing a basketball bounce, and it's like, you know how like if you're listening to a basketball game, or like, you know, if you're at a basketball game and your eyes are closed, you can almost hear the action that's going on from the rhythm of the ball and the urgency of it, the pace, and then also like the shoe squeaks, right? The back and forth. And so I'm feeling like you're in this period of, you know, that sound of a basketball that's dribbling and waiting to go somewhere. I feel like you're in this place, right? And the urgency that you feel, I feel like it feels like it's in your belly button, not the pit of your stomach, but like a little bit higher and forward your belly. I almost feel like your belly, you're feeling pulled. And this is a healthy feeling. It is one that you're not used to before, but that informs you where to go. And I see that you're already on your toes. You're poised and ready to make a shift and change. The ball is like, is in motion and preparing for its like initial directional shift. And you already know this, but I'm going to say, but what's holding you back right now is the route is becoming clear. Like you know where you're going, you know what's happening, but the exactitude, the exact steps or way that your approach is still becoming clear. All right. He's the loudest breather. Feeds. All right. I think that's it for this group. You're getting ready to go. Yeah. You have the things that you need. I think the thing that is important for you now is to energetically align's not the right word, energetically network with your compatriots, with your people, right? With your teammates. This is just, I'm seeing like a musician pluck their string instruments, like pluck the strings to just like, yeah, it's time to pluck the strings of connection, right? Just like pick a note, and then feel if it's in tune or not. It's time to kind of attune yourself to the important relational connections that are going to get you through this next phase of the game. I do feel like the team's changing. Like, I think it's, it's like the USA All-Stars team in basketball is made up of lots of different team members, like people from different individual teams that don't usually play together. But then it's like the Olympic team or the All-Star team, I don't know, is made up of people that are excellent at what they do, but are not who you normally would play with. So it's important to kind of like pick that string, listen to the reverberation, make any fine-tune adjustments that you need to, because I have a feeling that you're not going to have to work so hard in this next transition and where you're going. I don't think you're going to have to be doing the heavy lifting and the leg work like you used to. I think the shift and transformation that's going to happen is less happening in the 3-dimensional plane and is more happening in the 5-dimensional plane, in the sense that the energetics are working with you. And not only is it just your personal energetics, but it's the energetics of other people. And when multiple energies work together, oh my goodness, like the 3D lifting is so light, and it's just so easeful. Oh my gosh, yes, it's so easeful. The timing is clear, the food is perfect, things come and go as they need. It's just, oh yeah, it's so good. It's so good. So the thing that is being asked of you is to attune yourself and to lighten yourself to that rhythm, right? Because if you come in and you're like, oh, I need to work so hard, like I need to carry the team like I have before, like you're gonna mess up everybody's vibe, right? Because they're gonna, it's that scene where, you know, people on the field are having an argument, and it's like, pass me the ball, I'm open, you know? And you're gonna be, you don't need to be strong arming or strong willing this experience that's coming up next. The next thing I hear is like, she's going for distance, she's going for speed. Like, yeah, you're going for it all this time around, you know? You're going for all of it, which some would say is kind of dumb to do. It's not, though. When you've had this much practice, it's like people say you can have something, you can have 2 of the 3, fast, easy, and cheap. Right? Is that how it is? Or good, fast, and cheap. You can have something good and fast, but it won't be cheap. You can have something fast and cheap, but it won't be good. And you can have something cheap and good, but it won't be fast. And it's like, no. This time you get it all. She's going for distance. She's going for speed. And it's just this kind of like untouchable experience that you have, but is no surprise to you, is no surprise to your team. It's not actually that hard to pull off. It's super easeful. And it's, I'm also just kind of surprised at how not unexpected this is for you and for the people around you. Like, no one's going to be surprised about this, you know? But it's important to attune yourself to that kind of expectation, so that way it can come in and it can land really easily. And then the next thing I'm seeing is like, I don't know, it's like not like a UFO, but it's like, and also not a helicopter. It's like if a plane could land, kind of like a hovercraft, you know, if it could come in like this and then just settle down like that. I'm hearing new technologies, new ways. And you already know that you have, yeah, I feel like your body has known that you are a pioneer of new ways of being and new things of doing. Yeah. You've known this for a long time, and it's this concept of like, I don't know, I think you always felt like you were going to feel different at this moment in time. Like you were going to feel stressed out or overwhelmed or ill-prepared, but it also just kind of feels like a Tuesday. And I love that for you. I'm here for this, you know? So, like, get yourself a martini, you know, give yourself your, like, get yourself a fun bevy to celebrate, and just do what you need. So, yeah, and then I'm hearing like, leave the drugs behind. When they're necessary, they'll find their own way. I feel like you've been shepherding. I feel like you have been shepherding medicine that has been demonized. And you have been working so hard. Like, I see your diligence, because you can see what's clear and what's good and what's right and the value. You can see all of that. And you can see that it should be on the light end of life. And it's not your job to get it there. It's not your job to work that hard. It's not your job to right the societal wrongs. You know, it's part of what came through in the beginning too. The reminder here now is we need to let the collective unbury what the collective has buried. And it shouldn't be just 2 or 3 people excavating. It's not a paleontological dig. This stuff is not ancient, right? People have the capacity to dig into their subconscious. People have the capacity to delve deeper into themselves to find what they have demonized and buried. We have to trust that they have the ability to do this. And we'll get to meet them again on the other side of things, where there's liberation for all, where their shadows have come into the light, and where we then can see and celebrate and be part of the welcoming committee, you know, welcoming those drugs or addictions or those shadow aspects, so where we can celebrate the medicine that was once condemned as a drug, when we can celebrate that medicine in its true liberated form. But it is not our job to unbury what we ourselves never buried to begin with. That's their job and their problem. And really, it's a collective effort. So we're not here to be doing the work of thousands. I hear we are here to be doing the work of millions. And that is to say, here to pioneer and shepherd technologies that are intrinsic to our own bodies, that are part of our own individual journey, that will impact millions of people, you know, as opposed to choosing a smaller cause like the drug cartel or a shadow realm that we never really belonged in to begin with. If you haven't had personal experience in this lifetime with it, it's not yours. Just because you can see through to the truth, if you haven't had personal addiction, if you haven't had personal experience in a shadow aspect, it's no longer your job to deal with. You need to deal with your own liberation and light, because we're moving from this time of focusing on the shadow aspects and the shadow realm to just like really focusing on the light. And the shadows they come up, and they will be more clear and way easier to deal with. So just look at the liberation, look at the light, look at the expansion you want to have in your life. And it's time to stop focusing on the shadows and demons of others, especially. Okay, guys, let me know how you're doing. If you want direction or support in your personal experience of this, book in with me at soulshiftchanneling.com. I offer Zoom sessions worldwide, and we can look at your particular energetic, like where you are in this process and where your path is asking you to step into. I'm going into that basketball thing again, but if you want some support in I'm hearing specifically in knowing what those first steps feel like when you start this next leg of your journey, like that's what we'll talk about there. Okay, thanks guys, big love. I'll see you next Wednesday. All right. Group two, you're the poppy group. Last group we talked a lot about drugs. This group we might again, I'm not sure. So group 2, the poppy. Okay. Poppy seeds came up, and like just like a lot of like death by a thousand cuts, a lot of different, different, ooh, yeah, itchy throat, things that irk you, or things that just, like the princess and the pea. I had a lot of throat stuff come up last week in one particular group. I wonder if it's the same one as what most of you are choosing this week. So let me know if that's a consistency. You know that those sprinkles that are tiny balls that are like white, pink, yellow, rainbow colors. But white, there's white in there too. And for some, they just stick to everything. They stick to everything. It's like no matter what kind of cleaning you do, you're always going to find them places. And then also, whenever they get wet, the color, the dye that is in them bleeds, and on it, and it can stain things too, I just feel like, yeah, it's almost like this reframe of, I don't think it's past experiences. I think it's present experiences. You're having like a lot of different emotions, or a lot of different reactions to things. And it feels like every color of the rainbow, every color of the spectrum, like a lot of conflicting, or just like a lot of different kinds of emotions. It's not like you're just consistently feeling anger over and over and over. It's like anger, joy, resentment, guilt. Like you're feeling so many different things, and it feels like, oh my gosh, like jumbled up. Like it feels like you feel them in tiny increments, like very small, but just there's a lot of them. And I think for the most part, you are just like witnessing these feelings come in and come through and then leave. But I do feel like when the water hits them, when the emotion, when you really feel it as an emotional experience, it's really either like tainting your relationships or tainting your environment. I feel like you might be reacting a little bit more, like things are not quite as clean, like you're leaving your mark, maybe not, you're impacting the space around you. And I see that you are thinking or feeling like this is a bad thing. And I'm here to offer a reframe. If you know me, I dig a reframe, of like, I feel like you have this thought of, I'm staining this environment, I'm impacting this environment in a bad way, the way that I'm like mouthing off or reacting or saying sharp words or having a sharp experience is hurting or negatively impacting another person. I really don't think that's the case. And I'll tell you why. Because I see like a tie-dye spiral, and it's this reframe of like, the emotional response that I'm having is hurting others, to the emotional response I'm having is appropriate, desired, and adding color to people's lives. And the information I get here is like the white sprinkles don't have any dye in them, and this is what makes you different from other people. Because I hear you saying like, well, there's this other person who has pointy, spicy responses and they're bad, everyone hates them, or something like this. And it's like, yes, and that person is not contributing positive drops in the bucket. They're not contributing like the joy, like they're not contributing things that don't stain, they're not providing a canvas. The white sprinkles, if they get stained, like they pick up stain, and Just like if you tie-dye, like you have to start with a white t-shirt so that way the color can play off of it, right? If you start with a black t-shirt, you're not going to see anything, and it's like a moot point, a moot point, as a moot point, as Joey Tribbiani would say in Friends. I'll link that one because it's so fun. But basically, you're not just bringing reaction and response, you're bringing a capacity to hold that reaction and response and hold other people's reaction and response. And this is the difference. There is equanimity. There is, not only are you reaching out for help, but you're also reaching out to support. You know what I mean? And so that's why it works. If you have a bunch of people just reaching out for help, like, yes, it's really frustrating if two people reach out for help and are both reaching out for need and hitting more need. And then it's like, there's this frustration and there's this explosion that happens because it's too much. But when you have people reaching out for need, and every once in a while someone's reaching out with capacity, it changes the dynamic. It pulls this person up, number one, and then it also gives them the satiation that they've been looking for, that then allows them to feel a fullness to reach out with capacity. So you're changing a dynamic here. And I'm feeling like it's definitely like a little disorienting, and I don't know why. It's like now I see popcorn kernels, just like a lot of really small, like just like really tiny things, stuff that's like, it's not easy to scoop up with your hands and get it all. It's like, it's kind of an extensive process, like if you spill a bunch of seed beads everywhere, like, yes, you can get a lot of them up at once, but you're going to spend time getting all those stragglers, and now I see like Jesus in his flock, like he would go after one or two, he would leave the herd to go get one or two lost sheep. And very much this energy for you of like making sure there's no one left behind, making sure people are cohesive. Like you're not going to leave a mess. That's just not how it is. And if there are outliers, you're going to go to the furthest one first and bring them to the herd, bring them to the group. I need you to take care of yourself at this time, absolutely first. This is like, you're in a period of time of securing your own oxygen mask before you assist and support others. And it's not like you're going, a little evolved beyond that. It's like, you need to be securing your oxygen mask while helping others, right? And it's less about denying other people and more denying other people to take care of yourself, and more about only stepping towards people when you are taking care of yourself. You see how that's like kind of the same thing, but definitely different. It's like, we're not denying, we're not in the energy of denial, we're in the energy of, I'm coming towards you, let me help myself first, right? Do you see how that feels different? Because you're not really telling people no. You're saying, I'm coming, I need to help myself first. And this simple act is going to change it all, because I don't know, I just feel like, and going back to the collective message at the beginning of like changing systems, this week is about changing systems, or at least we're acknowledging that we are changing systems. It's about planting a seed, which again is appropriate with like the poppy seeds, all the tiny things. Seeds are so tiny sometimes, like very, very, very little. And sometimes your greatest impact is even just saying, I'm helping myself on my way to you. And so I'm being like, oh dang, I didn't realize I can help myself. I can help myself and still get help. And that is a beautiful thing, because helping someone who is learning or choosing or coming on to, I'm helping myself and I am still going to ask for and receive support, very different than connecting with someone who's just waiting for help and like messing around on their phone until help comes. It's a totally different process. Assistance and support lands in a wildly different way. All right. We do have more for this group. All right. I feel like I'm tasting like orange, not orange juice, but like a little clementines. Of course, it's smaller oranges. Little clementines, or those cuties. And you know how like oranges are sweet, they're not like lemons, but when you eat them, sometimes you still like, it fires off that like tart, those like tart taste buds. I feel like they're in the back corners of your mouth. Ooh, I'm gonna attach a little map of the tongue and like what taste goes where. I feel like you need to be hitting all of them. I feel like you need to be hitting, and it's not about, I don't know what it's not about, but what it is about is like plugging things into the right places. It's like before you go on a road trip, or if you connect a trailer to a car and you have someone go out and you test your turn signals and your brakes. It's about making sure everything's plugged into the right place. And now they make it so easy where it's like you plug one thing in and everything's in the right connection point. But I am seeing you go back to like telephone operator days, and you know how they had like, they would literally connect the lines with each other and they would plug them in the wrong places, and sometimes wires would get crossed. And I'm hearing that you need to, like, what you're doing now is like things like somehow you've unplugged everything and it's time to replug them in again, because even if the wires, the connection points were in the right places before, crossed wires can create like, yes, there's insulation around wires, but I believe there's a small magnetic field, or there can be heat if you've got crossed wires. Even if they're insulated, it's just no good. It can disrupt the flow and make things less efficient. You lose efficiency in that space. And so it's just really helpful and important to like unplug everything and give everything the most direct route. Like, you never want your dryer vent to be like going around like over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house. You want that dryer vent to go as straight out of the house as possible, because every bend you get heat escaping and you get friction. It's more dangerous, right? You can start a fire. Anyway, and I feel this for you, and this kind of like the parts of the tongue, the tastes, and then the emotions here. It feels important to like unplug everything and then plug everything in once, to have like, to experience grief and to feel grief and to call it grief, to experience joy, to feel joy, to call it joy, to experience bitterness, call it bitterness, and notice where it is on your tongue. It's like a recalibration. You're in a recalibration. You are recalibrating. And now I'm seeing like that thing where you can like recalibrate your phone to be what is it called? Like I don't know. I don't know why you recalibrate your phone, but you like twist it all sorts of certain ways, and it like tells it which way's up and which way's down, and it's like you can north, south, east, west. Like, it's important in shifting sands to recalibrate in moments of downtime. And I don't think you're just like sitting on your booty downtime, but it just, those little sprinkles show me like you're not dealing with huge emotions right now. You're not dealing with huge upheaval. And it's so helpful to like fine tune when you have small things, when you have small capacities, because if you're fine tuning with really big experiences, it can really kind of skew your calibration or skew your world. So right now is a really good time to recalibrate, a really good time to touch back into yourself, a really good time to reevaluate where you're going, what you're doing. This is a good time to get a New Year's reading with me or another reader. Like this is the time to like map out your stuff, to reorient yourself to what's important, where you're going, what your goals are, what your challenges are, that sort of thing. Like now is the time to do that because you have spaciousness and there's not anything crazy on the horizon. And I do feel like this group in particular, like you're maybe not used to this. Like there usually is something big and crazy going on. And when you do reach out and ask for help, you're used to like needing it. But it's a totally different experience when you reach out for support and you reach out for help and you don't have huge need, when you feel very balanced, because then you can get into minutia, you can get into very fine details that you never would be able to touch otherwise. And that that if you're considering evolution and you're considering really wanting to grow into where you're going, you eventually want your huge wins, like your huge boons of success, to be coming from fine-tuned spaces. Because when you're making small tweaks and experiencing big wins from it, it's great because you're having to put less energy in. You're getting more precise. It sharpens and hones and develops your skills. I'm hearing it gives you superpowers. You know, if we deal with the larger things and then you deal in the small things, like you've covered the big things and the little things. Like you're getting into expert area, or I hear like carpet master, dance master, like the craft master. What is it called? Stonemason, like master stonemason, master gardener, right? You get to deal with more fun problems, right? You get to deal with things that take more of an expertise, and you sharpen your skill more because you're less learning on repetition and you're more learning about specificity. The things that challenge you are going to be new obstacles that you haven't seen yet, but you're well equipped to start learning about and handling because you have the basics covered. I love this for you. This is such a fun place to be in when you're like really fine tuning and honing things, because it's just like, I don't know. I mean, the things that you're capable of and the things that you can do, it's just, it's so cool. It's so cool. It's so cool. If this is you, please come and get a read, because these are the fun places to explore and develop in your life. And then the last thing I'm seeing is like, I don't know, it gives yacht energy, like jet skis on a yacht, helicopter on a yacht, like transportation on transportation. It's just like an interesting intersection. I feel like some of you may be working in energetic realms that others are less familiar with, that you're at kind of like any place where there are like two different kinds of transportation in the same space. It gives port energy, right? Like information or goods are coming in by boat and then they're leaving on train. It's just like a concentration of energy. And these are hubs that there's usually a lot of culture, there's a lot of diversity, there's a lot of food for thought. There's developing ideas are happening in these areas. And these cultural hubs, if we're going back to the beginning part of our collective message, this is where systems are pioneered. This is where societal standards are developed and set and proliferated. This is the testing ground, and it's an important place, because if we have accurate, if we have integritous, if we have attuned and well-informed testing grounds, then the impact is widespread. Like being on an integritous cutting edge of development has the capacity to, yes, change your life, and yes, be so cool that you're like setting standards, but it has the ripple effect to the capacity to impact millions of people. I'm going to say that again. Millions of people. When's the last time you thought you were going to impact millions of people? And it might be over decades of time. Like, it's not going to be tomorrow, but what we do today and how we go about it and the standards that we set for ourselves, that we embody, that we create the standards of cleanliness, of clarity, and of connection in the energetic realms. And how we choose to build that is going to be available for others to choose for themselves as well. And when we make a good option available, you do not have to sell it. People choose it. And that's very cool. So, okay, I am so stoked on this group experience. I love it. Let me know in the comments what you're dealing with, what you're working on, what's happening for you. Or if that feels like too public space, go ahead and email me. I would love to hear your story because it sounds very exciting. Thank you for being here. I appreciate the work that you're willing to do in the world, and here to give you a vote of confidence of stepping into your power and your capacity and your ability to make positive change. Yeah, high five. Okay, that's it for group 2. Thank you. Group 3. All right, you guys were the delphinium flower, or this little bluebell, or this like purple, blue, violet flower. I think it's going to be the delphinium emoji. Yeah, I'm very much seeing in this, yeah, we're going to go back to that opening imagery throughout. I feel you, sister, brother, of like, needing to be alone and entertain yourself because you're not recognized, right? Because your true colors aren't seen, or the people who are around you just they can't see your true colors, right? And they may not be having relationships or bring, it's few and far between that I feel like the insects come to you, or the beings and creatures, the delicate, also very important. Like, let's talk about pollinators, right? We all know pollinators are super important, right? You guys know that, right? Pollinators are super important. Without pollinators, we do not have food. Get it? Without people who can see beyond what is just physically present, we do not have nourishment as a species. You feel me? It's a metaphor. The people who are like the pollinators out there, the people who, the bees and the butterflies who can see higher vibrations and move from person to person, to cross-pollinate, to connect, to network, are the ones that allow our purpose to be exercised. And so we're in this very important reciprocal relationship with people who see you and can connect with you and have the wherewithal to come and go from your life. What a blessing. And give you the information that you need to exercise your purpose, to not just continue to bloom, but to get the information, to take ideas and thoughts and actions to seed in order to bear fruit. We're talking about systems this week and societal shift and change, and it takes working together to impart this change in the world. So one of the themes of this group was like violet, like third eye experience, right? And the visioning of future, the visioning of tomorrow, the visioning and to be seen for your visioning, which is not always something that other people can see from just looking at you or from interacting with you in the 3D daily life, right? Sometimes people don't understand that you are a visionary or that you have a different concept available to give to the world. But this is so important because the information that you have needs to be passed over, except for those that are looking for it. Because if these flowers gave out all their pollen to beings that came by and weren't looking for them specifically, then they would have nothing left to give when the ones who saw them clearly came along. I know it feels difficult to not be chosen. I know it feels difficult to be passed over, for people to not see you and to feel like, what am I doing wrong? Like literally what, how can I say more a description of myself so you can see me clearly? And not your job. A flower doesn't dance. The only way a flower dances is in the wind. You know, it's like a flower's not going out there and doing a song and dance. It's being carried and impacted by its environment and the way that it moves, and it just, it's presence. It's about presence. And so whatever you need to do to maintain your presence is what you need to be doing now. And I mean, I feel like you're fine. I feel like you've been doing this, like the image of like twirling for yourself, like very, how do we say, what's her name? Not Judy Garland. What's her name? Julie Andrews. Very Julie Andrews in Sound of Music when she's twirling at the top of the mountain. I do feel like you're very happy with yourself. And I recognize that sometimes a reminder doesn't hurt but can help, because I feel like you're not at risk of giving up per se, but you are at, like, I do feel the risk of losing hope, or of forgetting yourself, or of it just feels like how do we say, like being brainwashed. What's the kind of brainwashing that happens when Stockholm syndrome, like a societal Stockholm syndrome thing, where you could forget your special patterning, your special visioning, the way that you are, because you're not being seen often enough, or you're not being recognized for it. I'm here to tell you, my dear, like there's also a and I'm not sure if this is true or not, but this is the image that we're getting of like, okay, if a flower like this blooms, and like it blooms this beautiful blue color, and then I see that there's almost like a second blooming, or like the development of those like ultraviolet colors, those higher frequency colors. It doesn't happen in the same window of the 3D of the blossom blooming itself. I feel like the blossom blooms and then these ultraviolet colors come in and then they relax. Like it doesn't happen at the same time. And so there feels like a little bit of a delay, which if you've ever driven a turbo car, right? Which might be a select few of you, it doesn't matter. You hit the gas and it takes a moment for that turbo to kick in, right? And there's a little bit of a delay, but there's an undeniable power. And once you're able to kind of work with that a little bit, you start attuning and adjusting your timing to not be immediate, but to be a little bit in advance. All right, my dears. Anything else for this group? Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm feeling like a vining plant growing up in an area that's like, oof, duh. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of support very close by to you right now. I feel this vining plant growing up, and it's like the need is to like send out roots, but it is really important to send them out far and wide. And I feel like you might be a person who reaches out for support, and if you don't get it really quick, if you have to reach really far for it, you probably don't do that. And I'm telling you, you're going to have to be reaching out for support and reaching further than you might have to be, being a little bit more vulnerable and like reaching out way further than you normally do. And that's okay. It's just the season that you're in. Sometimes we grow through these leaps where structure is not really around us and we have to make it for ourselves. So we have temporary strongholds. Sometimes we need to hang on to things that are not permanent but are temporarily stable. It's time to exercise those connections. And willingness to reciprocate. I think this was in the last reading, but it's important. It can be just as valuable to respond to someone's need right now. It can be just as stabilizing to respond to someone's need right now. It can be just as stabilizing to respond to someone's need right now as it is to reach out with need and get support from another. So giving support and getting support feels equally stabilizing at this point, because I have a feeling that the people who are reaching out to you in these moments of trust are just growing through the same portal that you are. Okay. Let me know how you're doing. Yeah, okay. I'm also so much plant energy for you guys right now. You know how like the veins of a leaf will kind of like branch out like a river? I'm feeling like right now it feels like there are, like you don't have your eggs in many baskets, and it feels more precarious because I feel like you're carrying just a few things with a lot, and you're like, wow, all of this has to reach downstream. Like all of this is all I have. And you're not taking into account that as you branch out, you will plant these seeds, and more strength will grow. Like as you branch out, you get more rooted, you know? It's like, yeah, one a plant growing in the ground is like one taproot doesn't feel like that much, but most plants will branch out and branch out and branch out. And by the time you branch out, that plant is really well anchored and well rooted in the ground. So I feel like you're kind of like, I hear passing through the eye of a needle, right? Like you're passing through a portal, you're in the birth canal experience, and it feels like high intensity, high pressure, high stress, and like all your eggs are in one basket, but it won't be that way for long. And it just feels important that you keep your eyes open for opportunities and blessings along the way, because I feel like they're going to come at you faster and before you realize. Okay, my doves, my loves, my doves. All right, and then the last thing I see is like a dove or a carrier pigeon. It's like, you know how mourning doves, they just like, they make that sound, or like when, is it pigeons or doves, when they fly away, they make this like cooing sound. And it feels, yeah, again, important to call out for help, or to send out carrier pigeons, to send out messaging. And just the act of sending out messaging alone is going to alert your environment of needing additional support. So don't be surprised if you are reaching out and asking for support, and you have to reach out further to reach people that you normally would. But just the act of reaching out, you're going to feel supported by the super close environment around you. It's a little bit different from the beginning. You still need to make that far reach, but don't be surprised when it's not the same kind of support that you're used to, but like, it's like the ether, it's like the energetics are coming to support you. It's like you're used to getting, and you're looking for physical support, and you are going to get physical support. You're going to need to reach out further to get it. And the act of reaching out for that physical support is going to alert your surroundings, your energetic environment, to see that need and to respond accordingly. And that's what's going to like make you feel like lifted up by invisible strength. I feel like if you continue to show up and ask for your need, want, and desire, you're going to feel inexplicably supported and just cushioned and bolstered in ways that you might not be able to vision, that might not be caught by your vision in the same way as physical support is. All right, thank you, group 3. Let me know how you're doing. I think you guys are good, but you know where I'm at, and I offer readings of Akashic Record readings, soul readings in a lot of different capacities. So couples, friends, obviously individual readings, readings with your pet, your home, and the land that you shepherd, as well as your business. So anything that has a soul, which is all the things, we can connect to. So let me know if you need support there, and let's tie it up for the group today. I'm gonna go ahead and close out this connection and get our last collective message in love and light. I thank our masters, teachers, and loved ones for their information and guidance. Amen, amen, amen. The records are closed. The last thing I see is like, the rope from the very beginning, almost kind of being planted in the ground and unraveled, like kind of like roots, like the roots of a plant. But then I see, as it's planted and unraveled, it's almost like it's decomposing. And I don't know, I kind of have mixed experiences of this, because part of me feels like it feels important to preserve the rope, but it's like, why preserve something that's not going to be used again? Is it not better to recycle that energy, to recycle that intention and purpose and spirit into the local biology, the local flora and fauna, right? If we have a jute rope that has shifted and transformed millions by way of throwing out, harnessing energy and throwing out life rings and lifeboats and holding ships to shore so people can get on and off at appropriate times. Is it not the more liberating route to decompose and repurpose the energy that came together to tether those things, to make those ties? And I think this speaks to the ephemerality of connection and of community and the joining of souls around a video like this, right? A collection of people who come together for one experience, right? All of you watching this right now, like maybe this is the only video you ever watch of mine, and that's great. That's fine. Maybe it's one that maybe this is a channel that you visit again and again and again. And knowing that each energetic experience, each of these channelings, each of these collective and individual reads is bringing together an entirely unique collection and group and form of people with different things on our hearts. And a different, like the strength is different every time. The work is different every time, and it spans time and energetics. This is something that people can come to now or can come to later, and it binds us. It gives us a bridge to connect with each other and to get work done that wouldn't be possible otherwise. And so there must not be a lament or a loss of not keeping the same connection or the same team together exactly as it is going forward, because we all have different places to go and different places to be. And we can say this for this video and this group specifically, and also for all of the other aspects of our lives, for the school communities that we're in, for the work communities that we're in, for the church communities that we're in, for the time we visit a sacred site and connect with the energy of all the other people over the history of time who've been in that same space. It's so special, and it's so fleeting, and it's so purposeful. So just congratulations and an invitation to look deeper into what we have the capacity to be a part of in this life. It's just so special and so divine, and I am glad that you guys are here for every part of it. So if this video resonated with you, let me know and send to a friend, send to someone who might need to hear, send to someone who you're thinking of. I appreciate the support and the guidance that you all provide me by contributing your energy to these readings that we do. Because it's, again, just like this closing, it's very special to be a part of this kind of ephemeral work. And I appreciate the ways that, you connect us all across the world, all across the country, all across the globe. All right, guys, thank you so much. I will see you next Wednesday. My name's Corinne, and be well. Bye.